Hi. This is just going to be an off-the-cuff video that I wanted to talk about Let's Playing puzzle games. And the genesis of this video is the fact that my friend Alex recently updated Leaf's Odyssey again. He's been making a number of improvements to the game in terms of usability and whatnot. So here I am in a level with a bunch of snakes. You may recall that back when I was playing this game, one of the features that Alex added was showing the grid. It's not as important on this level, but with the grid lines on, it's a little bit easier to just kind of count the tiles. It's also the case that there's a mouse cursor that kind of like highlights tiles by tiles and also allows me to point on the screen at like a particular snake. If I'm trying to talk about this snake right over here, I can point at it with my mouse cursor so you know who I'm pointing at. But in this particular puzzle, there's a bunch of snakes, and you can try to fight them or whatever, but they end up kind of surrounding you, and it's kind of like hard to get them all. And so in that case, like, which one was it that ended up getting me? I guess it was like the top one, it looks like, which I could refer to by saying the top one, and hopefully you know which one I'm talking about. Alex recently added a cool feature to this game called Marks and Notes. Notes basically just lets you type text about a room. Lots of snakes that you could refer to later if you want. And as you know, I've been doing a screenshot note-taking tool where I've done a similar thing in my own application outside of various video games, but I think that's really cool. But there's also this cool feature that is called Place a Mark. So suppose I want to mark this particular snake. I can mark this snake with a red dot, and then if I go back into the game, you can see that snake on top is now the snake with the red dot. And even as he moves around the puzzle, he still has the red dot, and you can see that it was the red dot snake who kills me. And I think this is great in terms of there's a lot of times as a Let's Player that you're in a puzzle game, and there are many identical looking entities on the screen, and you want to refer to one of them. And this gives you a way to call out that particular one that's causing you trouble. And so I think that's a very cool feature, and I would like it if more puzzle games did things like this, because I think that's cool. It's also the case that with the marks, you can also mark like tiles, and so I could mark this tile and say if only I could get here, I would probably be safe. And so now I've marked that tile with a blue square, and I'm like, that's my goal, if only I could get there. And actually I can get there. And actually that does mean that I'm going to be safe, because now I can actually go and kill that guy and kill this guy and kill this guy. So all I needed to do is make a break for it right at the beginning. In any case, that's a very cool feature, which is much appreciated. I'm currently playing the game with the keyboard, by the way. You can also hear, I've got it pretty quiet, but there's game music going. If I go and click on another window, I don't think you'll see much happening over here. The music continues to play, the game continues to animate, but now my keyboard is focused on another window, and so if I try to press the keys to move around, obviously that's not moving things around. If I go click back on the game again, like I can move around again, okay, that's great. I also have a controller hooked up, so now I'm using the controller to move Leaf around. And if I click on another window and then try to use the controller, oh, I didn't realize that. In this game, it doesn't read the controller when the window's not focused. I can imagine Alex might even have an option for that, so you could choose to select it one way or another. But in any case, something I've noticed is there's a variety of support for various games, especially indie games, in terms of how they interact with the operating system. For example, Leaf's Odyssey has its own cursor in-game that actually like puts a square around the tile that you're highlighted. As well as the mouse cursor. If I refocus the game, OBS will actually capture the mouse cursor, which I could see on my screen, and now you can see it as well, which allows you to point. But pointing is something that some games support and some do not, and changing focus and still leaving the game running, or playing music, or not pausing the game, or accepting controller input is something that is widely variable in a number of other games. So let's talk about a couple other games that I played this year, for example. So here is Master Key, and in this game, I don't get a mouse cursor. If I move my mouse cursor into the window, it simply disappears, and so I'm trying to capture a mouse cursor, but there's not one on my screen or one that you can see. And if I click on another application, the game quits playing music and quits animating, and I can no longer control the game or whatever. It's completely lost focus until I click back into the game in order to be able to play the game again. And here's the first screen of Isles of Sea and Sky. This is a puzzle game where it'd be great if I could point at the left box or the right box or use a mouse cursor, but once again, it doesn't give me a mouse cursor. In this game, I can use the keyboard or I can use the controller. If I click on another application, obviously I can no longer use the keyboard, nor can I use the controller, but in this case the music is still playing and the animations are still running. But I am a programmer, and so I can solve problems. So what if I add my own mouse cursor? And so here's a mouse cursor that I've added, basically by drawing my own window as a transparent pane of glass on top of the game with my own cursor drawn upon it. And so as a result now, I can try to like gesture at this window. But so long as I'm doing that, I might as well do some other things, like suppose I want to be able to draw on the screen and draw a smiley face for you all to see, or to circle this particular crate that I'm about to go and push. I might as well be able to do stuff like that. And I've seen a number of people playing puzzle games where they do stuff like this. And indeed, I can even make things a little bit more fancy. I can say, okay, I want this guy to go this way, and I want this guy to go this way, and then my guy is going to be able to sneak up in here and go ring the bell and draw some arrows and things. And yeah, I mean, there's other kind of like clever things that I can do or whatever. It's like, look at this cute guy who's sleeping right here. You looking right at him? Just kind of like put a spotlight on the scene or different things. This is just a demo that I like mocked up in a day. But I feel like there's a whole general let's playing indie games toolkit for cursors and drawing and spotlighting and arrows and different things that would be generally useful. And so I'm starting to do that as just kind of my own tool. And furthermore, let me change this around. Furthermore, it's the case that all this happens without the game ever losing activation focus. So I'm playing the game right now, but I can be drawing my own tool and playing the game at the same time. And so I've got keyboard control right now, or I could be using the controller and also drawing at the same time. And while I'm moving my guy around or whatever, like I could be going and clicking other things in my own app to erase the whole screen, for example. I've got a little control panel that's not being recorded right now that's off, well, on my monitor below the window that currently hosts the game. For controlling some things, but that window never actually takes focus, although it does accept mouse commands. Yeah, so basically there were a bunch of little things I've noticed in different games this year that were annoyances, and then Alex recently had the update where he added these fancy features that are like fantastic for Let's Playing, and I've been working on my own external screenshot and note-taking tool for helping me and trying to incorporate that into Let's Playing. And I was like, what if I made a general like pointing, gesturing, drawing tool that's good for Let's Playing that also solves some of the problems of various indie games that don't deal well with mouse cursors or the game losing focus or different things? So I'm in the midst of working on that. And I'm basically making this video to kind of like show off the demo and ask for feedback. So if you have ideas about things that would be good or bad in terms of, you know, external tools that can sit atop a game to help you let's play it, yeah, leave your feedback in the comments, especially if you're someone who Let's Plays. This is just a separate app that I run, and so I didn't have to change anything about my OBS setup or game setup. I usually play games in a window on the desktop. And so the only thing that I had to do for this demo is run my program, select the game that I want to put a piece of glass over, and then in my OBS layout, add that piece of glass as like another window that I'm capturing. And then everything just works. So yeah, I guess I don't really have anything else to say. Leave your feedback in the comments and help me get ideas and what would be a good thing to do to round out the feature set and usability of something like this for future Let's Plays. So I hope, as always, that you all are having a great day, and I will see you again soon with whatever.